Hey, I'm the tallest man in real estate, and it's been a few months since I did a quick market update. The market's really changed, I'd say, this fall compared to what was happening in spring as well as summer. So let's dive into it. This is a What I'm doing is I'm going over some of the charts that we get on a monthly basis here at Compass. And I basically cherry picked about the 6 or 7 best charts that I want to go over. And the whole report is maybe about 25 charts big. So if you want that report, just send me a message and I'll gladly get you the whole thing. So let's dive in. The real estate market began as its usual midwinter holiday season slowdown in November, marked by substantial decline in both listing and sales activity. The contraction typically speeds up through December, normally the year's slowest month, before the market begins to wake up in mid January. The San Francisco market this past fall saw a stunning surge in demand, which we ascribe to the accelerating AI startup boom in the city. San Francisco now has one of the most heated markets in the country. And I've been telling my clients, I think we're in about the third inning of this recovery. 2023 was about the bottom. 2024 is the second inning. I think we're in the third inning of a long recovery here. So would you rather buy now or wait till a few years down the road when we're in the seventh inning of recovery? Let me go back into the description here. So our focus now shifts towards the New Year's market. In the past, the beginning of the year frequently ushered in a substantial higher level of activity that continued to build into spring. This occurred in early 2025 until affected by the tariff shock and subsequent economic reactions, initiating a significant slowdown in April. In the broader financial landscape, the first week of December saw the S&P 500 and Nasdaq largely recover from their substantial declines in November, and the 30-year mortgage rate was close to a 14-month low. While consumer confidence showed a modest rise from November, it remains very low by long-term standards, but this does not seem to be impacting the San Francisco market. Attention is now focused on the Federal Reserve's upcoming decision regarding an end-of-year benchmark rate reduction and a subsequent inflation report due later in the month. So I am recording this on Tuesday, December 9th. Tomorrow on Wednesday, we're expecting a 0.25% rate deduction, should I say, from the feds. And just so everyone knows, if you want to look at where mortgage rates are going to go, check out the 10-year Treasury. It has nothing to do with what's going on tomorrow. Although, as I will see, there has been a great decline in rates, as I just mentioned, but there's been a big decline, which I'll show you in the chart, over the last several months, which is why we're starting to see buyer activity pick up. So let's go on to the next chart. San Francisco home sales breakdown. This is the number of sales by property type and bedroom count. I thought this was interesting to me. 2-bedroom condo sales, we had 1,114. And that really surprised me because usually I would have expected houses to go up or be closer to that, 3-bedroom houses. But yeah, it looks like 2-bedroom sales and condos have been the benchmark now. And that's good to see because when people move back into the city, they're going to buy typically condos unless they're families and they know they're going to be a while or be in San Francisco for a while. Then, you go towards a typical house. On the right-hand side, it's interesting too. You'll see the median sales prices. 2-bedroom houses are $1.29 million. 3-bedroom houses are $1.65 million. And to give you kind of a perspective, at the height, a few years ago, 3-bedroom houses were trading at about 1.9 was the average. 4-bedroom houses are 2.305 million. And then if you go down to 1-bedroom condos, the average 1-bedroom condo now is 740,000. The average 2-bedroom condo is $1.225 million, and a 3-bedroom condo is 1.7 million here in San Francisco. And I love seeing this chart. What we're showing here is on the far left is January 1990, and then the far right is currently where home prices are now. So the 3-month rolling median house sales price in November 2025 is 1.8 million, spiked up from October to its highest point since 2022, rising about 9% year over year. On a single month basis, not 3-month rolling, the median house sales price in November rose 15% year over year. And this is exactly what I mentioned before is, as you can see, 2022 was the height, and you're getting around 2 million was what your average going to pay for a property in San Francisco. Then we had the big rate increase, and then prices just dropped in 2023, and that was the bottom. Now we've been slowly ticking up in 2024 and 2025. I think 2026 is going to be a monster year. There's so much pent up demand. If rates can get down in the sixes, low sixes, we're going to see a lot happen in terms of buyers coming out of the woodwork. And March, April always has the most overbidding. The problem is if you wait till fall or even now in December, typically home prices are going up. So you're going off those new comps from spring if you end up waiting and then buying in summer or in fall. So next chart, the San Francisco condo price trends since 2005. And what we're looking at is a median two-bedroom condo sales price with a 3-month rolling average. And again, you can see condo prices were fairly flat in the early 2005, 2006, 2007. Obviously, we had the great financial crisis. Everything was flat, or dropped, should I say, from '09 to 2012. And then that's really when San Francisco took off. And I believe we're going to see that right now over the next 3 or 4 years with AI and everything else that's happening. If you remember back in 2012 or so, that's when all the apps started coming out. Uber was getting very big then, Airbnb, Facebook, all these companies, Google, obviously, all these companies in the Bay Area as well as San Francisco really started to take off. And if you're moving here, you're most likely going to want to buy a two-bedroom condo to start out. When you got a family, that's usually when you go to a house. So the 3-month rolling median two-bedroom condo sales price in November 2025 was 1.297500, and it surged to its highest point since 2022, rising about 6.5% year over year. So we are starting to see those condo prices elevate, which is a great indicator for the city in general. Now, let's check out new listings coming onto the market. What I always tell my sellers is there's definitely seasonality when you want to sell. When you're a buyer, it's whenever it makes sense for you. I wouldn't ever try to time the market as a buyer, but as a seller, it definitely makes sense that usually springtime as well as September and October are usually those sweet 3 or 4 months there that you do want to be selling. And that's typical right now, as is the common seasonal trend. The number of new listings continue to plummet in November and will typically hit its lowest point here in December. And I always tell my clients, like especially right now, if you're actively looking, you're beating out the competition. Most people are going to holiday parties, they're traveling, they're doing whatever they're going to be doing over the next month or two. So as a buyer, it's a great time to get out there and beat everybody. And you will start to see days on market get a lot longer. If you're selling right now as a seller, you definitely want to take advantage of trying to get your property sold as quick as possible. Oftentimes those sellers will end up taking a price cut to get the deal done, particularly before the end of the year or going into next year. As a buyer, if you wait till March, April, May, you're just going to see a lot more competition and you'll see a lot more overbidding as prices rise. San Francisco homes market. So this is the active and coming soon listings on the first of each month. And so the number of listings for sale on December 1st, 2025 fell substantially from the previous month and plunged 35% year over year. 25% of the listings were houses, 60% were condos, 9% TICs, 5% co-ops, and 1% townhouses. Listing inventory typically continues to plummet in December. And that's exactly what I was just talking about before. You're going to get most of the listings are usually going to happen in springtime. And then you'll get some in fall. And then as we get into the, December and January, you're really going to see the new market inventory fall off a cliff. That's why, like I said, if you're out there and you're looking, you can often find big deals out here where, you might be able to get 10 or 15% off the whatever the list price. One of the big key findings, and what I found interesting about this chart is before our chief economist, I listened to a presentation that he did a few months ago. And what he was particularly pointing out is that you see a big spike in demand when interest rates fall below 6%. And so, we saw that in February 2023 going into, that's when the recovery hit. We're starting to see those rates get lower now. It looks like kind of the height of the interest rates was, about June 2025, January 2025. In between those months is when the rates were the highest. And now you're kind of looking in the mid sixes, I would say, on a 30-year fixed, which is a very good historical rate over the last few years here. And I do think the rates will continue to go lower. As we go into the midterms next year, they're going to really juice this economy. Want to make sure that interest rates are low. The economy is humming, businesses are back, home prices are starting to go up. So I think all that's going to happen next year. So yeah, overall, like I said, I think 2026 is going to be a big year. March, April, May is going to be bonanzas. Unless we get some shock to the system like an invasion in Ukraine or the tariff scares. But if none of that stuff happens, I think 2026 is going to be a big year. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm obviously hashtag tallest man in real estate. Be happy to talk to you. Even if you don't live in San Francisco or the Bay Area, I've got plenty of partners all over the country. Compass is huge now. So if you have any friends that are looking to move, I'm happy to talk to them and get them with a top realtor in their area. All right, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye bye.